Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I had several people ask me, what do I think about the Athlean-X video of 3 sets of 12 are killing your gains? Several people asked me. One person said that they felt it was really, really bad. Could I address some of what's in it? So I went and watched the video. I think the guy who runs it, his name is Jeff. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about what Jeff said in here. I did have some problems with some of what Jeff said, but I'm not going to completely rip it apart because Jeff had some good points in there also. And it's very clear to me in the very few videos I've seen by the guy that he actually is a pretty smart guy. Jeff isn't one of these dumbasses who are up here. There are a lot of people who are complete fucking morons who give out workout advice on YouTube Fitness. Jeff is not one of them. I think that's pretty obvious when you listen to him. He's articulate, he's intelligent, he's educated. Reasonable assumption. Now, I am going to joke at first of, Jeff, what in the fuck are you doing having this skinny guy who's never lifted weights doing a bunch of dumbbell work? I mean, I like the incline dumbbell press. I think the incline dumbbell press is a fantastic accessory for people whose upper chest is lagging. No argument from me there on that. It's great for that. Why do you have a skinny noob who looks like he needs to be eating, doing a bunch of little light dumbbell work? Sorry, but if this guy had come to me and this is someone I was going to work with and help, this guy would be carving the hell up. I would have him focusing on getting stronger every single week on all his basic movements. He would be doing deadlifts, overhead presses, maybe even push presses, squats, barbell rows, weighted chin-ups, closed grip bench presses, and a couple of isolation movements for his weak points, maybe some curls and stuff. But we would probably be working purely in the 5 to 8 rep range, focus on getting stronger every single week, progressive overload, progressive eating. Put some meat on this guy. All right, he doesn't have any strength-based build, clearly an undereater. He's not going to put on size until you force him to do some real work, and a bunch of incline dumbbell presses with light weight is not going to get this guy where he wants to be. If he's in here trying to make gains, there are better ways to do it. Now, that being said, the thing that I really like that Jeff pointed out in there, people picking inappropriate workloads, inappropriate volumes, and short repping themselves, meaning doing short reps. For example, what is the entire benefit of the incline dumbbell press? Why is it a great exercise? Anyone care to guess? Because it gives one of the deepest stretches possible on the chest at the bottom. It initiates what's called a myotatic reflex or a stretch reflex, because you can stretch the muscle of the chest, particularly the upper chest, so deeply at the bottom that allows additional fiber recruitment near the top as a counter reaction going back up. Now, if you take an exercise like that and because you're trying to leave something in the tank, or you are using a weight that you know that you can't get the prescribed reps with, and you start going shallower and skipping the bottom of the range of motion, you have wasted your time. When Jeff said that that was a complete waste, I wanted to high-five him. I'm like, thank you, Jeff. Because I didn't like some of the stuff you said in the video, but that was so spot on. That is one of the better things I've heard anyone say on YouTube. Doing partial reps because you are using a weight that is too heavy for you to do for the reps you're trying to do, particularly on a big compound or an exercise with a stretch reflex component, is a complete waste of time and effort. It will eventually get you hurt. It's a good way to get injured, but it's also a good way to make a hell of a lot less gains. Props for that. Partial range of motion training for people trying to put on size, terrible idea. Absolutely terrible idea. So I couldn't agree with that more. So we're going to start off with the positive. The negative. All this nonsense about time under tension. While talking about studies, is Jeff not keeping up with the current studies? Where in the world does time under tension for a given set even factor in? This is old nonsense that people basically postulated 20 years ago that hasn't panned out. Do you know what time under tension actually means as far as proven gains? Doing more reps. If you do more reps, you get more time under tension. It's a nice way of saying more reps. But when we look at the actual changes in muscle mass, when you do a slow rep on the way up, do you recruit more or less muscle fibers? You recruit less. The faster you move a weight, particularly a weight from a dead stop or a full range of motion, the faster you move a weight, the more muscle fibers are recruited. In fact, when you move a weight fast enough, even a weight that's 60 or 70% of your max, if you move it at maximum velocity, it is actually possible to hit upper threshold muscle fibers on the first and second rep. That's the whole basis of dynamic effort work or speed work. And anyone who's studied training for athletes or power or speed knows all about dynamic effort work. When you're normally working with higher reps with a 60 or 70% of your max, you don't hit the upper threshold fiber sometimes with the 5th, 7th, 8th rep sometimes. But if you move the weight with maximum speed, you recruit the upper threshold fibers immediately. Well, if you're recruiting more muscle fibers, particularly the upper threshold fibers, are you going to get more gains or less? You're going to get more. Recruiting muscle fibers is how those muscle fibers grow. It's pretty well understood. So if you're adding time under tension by going slower on the concentric rep, you're losing gains. What about the negative then? Well, there are studies showing that obviously a controlled 1 second eccentric does add more gains per rep done. But we're going to get into that in a second because eccentric reps are not required for maximum muscle growth. All right, they're required for maximum muscle growth with the fewest reps. But what has been studied and was noted a decade ago, several studies were done over a decade ago looking at slow eccentric reps. What did they find? 4 seconds eccentrics, which is exactly what he's talking about here, did not produce any more muscle growth with the same weights and the same rep ranges as 1 second eccentrics do. So if you're doing 10 reps and you're adding 30 seconds to the set by 3 extra seconds on the eccentric on the way down, it doesn't add any more muscle growth. So how in the hell is time under tension helping here? There's no way to add time under tension to any given set with any given weight in a way that actually increases muscle growth other than adding more reps. It's the more reps that count. Slower eccentrics don't improve gains. They make you more sore. Now, some people might associate getting sore with muscle growth, but I associate getting sore with inappropriate training protocols, inappropriate loading patterns, inappropriate training frequency. That's what makes you sore, but slow eccentrics can make you more sore, but they don't produce more muscle growth. They don't seem to when we study it. And we know slower reps produce less muscle growth on the concentric end. So this time under tension thing is complete nonsense. It's nonsense. This is antiquated pseudoscience at this point. It's pseudoscience. And when we start talking about that, if time under tension per set mattered instead of workload, total fatigue accumulated through the course of a workout, how about total fatigue accumulated over the course of a week or a month? You know what? I think that's more important than time under tension. Accumulation of fatigue through workload and tonnage. The amount of work a muscle does, that's what matters. And if individual sets mattered, then why do we have studies that show that 10 or even 8 sets of 3 produces just as much muscle growth as 10 sets of, or as 3 sets of 10 does? Meaning, with a slightly heavier weight, 8 sets of 3 produces the same muscle growth sets of 3. When total tonnage is equal, 3 rep sets with fast speed, you're done in like 5-6 seconds with your total set. That higher volumes of triples produces just as much muscle growth as 3 sets of 10 does. And 3 sets of 10 is in that hypertrophy range. If time under tension was an actual factor, why in the world doesn't higher reps produce more muscle growth than lower reps done for similar tonnage and similar workloads? When we study it, they're equal. Where's the time under tension benefit then? Where's the benefit? Now, I will agree with Jeff, the other thing of people holding back, if you're going to do higher rep sets, you do need to take those pretty much to failure to get the full benefits or within 1 rep of failure. But it also begs the question of how much volume are you doing with your sets of 12 when you can't replicate the performance? Meaning, maybe you're just doing too much total volume, because when you get to a point to where you're fatigued after multiple sets to the point where you've got to reduce weight, the earlier sets probably aren't doing that much for you. So he is right. If you are going to do high reps, like 12 rep sets or more, taking your sets up to, if not failure, within 1 rep of failure, which is very hard for novices to do. Novices aren't a good gauge of their strength in their body. All right, that is going to be more appropriate for muscle growth. You're just doing too many sets if you're having to leave a lot of reps in the tank on the early sets to do this. But I do agree with Jeff on the partial reps as far as people doing partial reps so that they can do their prescribed reps and sets by going to partial reps there, because partial reps are simply not going to be as effective. They are a lot of waste of time as far as maximum growth stimulation is concerned. But this nonsense about time under tension, this is complete pseudoscience. It's bro science. It's bullshit. Completely absurd, because there are tons of people out there who stimulate maximum growth doing even 2 and 3 rep sets for enough volume, and there are people who get maximum growth and go up in weight classes. And I mean, Glenn Penley has written about this extensively as an Olympic coach by doing purely concentric reps for explosive speed. So extremely fast reps and skipping the negatives completely when done for speed and power with enough total sets actually stimulates maximum growth also. So it's been shown repeatedly in top level athletes even that maximum muscle growth is achievable with extremely low time under tension under sets. In fact, times under tensions that are about as low as humanly possible, as long as total bar speed, muscle fiber recruitment, and workload are sufficient to do so. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.